welcome to episode 406 of In Touch with iOS, the podcast that keeps you connected to the ever-changing Apple ecosystem. I am your host, Dave Ginsburg. Each week, we break down the latest news, updates, tips, and hidden features across iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Mac, Vision Pro, and Apple TV, and with all the insights from friends, experts, and the Apple community, because here we read the release notes so you don't have to. So glad to be here this week. We have so much to talk about. Now let's see who is here this week. Jill McKinley back here in the show. Great to have you, Jill. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. It's going to be like 30 degrees this weekend, and so it's practically summer. I'm going to get the shorts out and go run around in the sprinkler.
Heat wave for 30 degrees. Yes, it's been very cold here too. Glad you're here. Also glad to hear that he's here is Marty Jencius. How you doing, Marty?
Good. Thursday night I teach family therapy and did a demonstration with a family, so my adrenaline is completely up because you never know what's going to happen when you do that. And so I'm glad to be here and have lots of energy to carry me through the show.
Glad you're here. And Jeff Gamet having big audio computer problems like he always has with this wonderful operating system. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing all right. Clearly, I'm doing better than macOS Big Lakes, but I'm doing well, and my audio is working again for now. So, it's there are much bigger issues in the world than whether or not my audio
and,
works.
And Eric Bolden, he is here. And what is he sporting behind him? I believe. What bird do you have behind there? How you doing?
It's a yellow-rumped warbler.
Okay.
Just a little teeny tiny bird.
AK known as a butterbutt.
Yeah, that fits.
Yep, sure does. And last, certainly not least, Chuck Joyner is here. Great to have you, Chuck. How you doing?
I'm great, Dave. Thank God you didn't. You weren't Jeff Gamet, because he would have done.
Did you know I would have said, and now with us, Chuck Butterbutt Joyner.
Yeah, exactly. I knew the segue that could have been there, and so Dave, thank you for not doing that. And Jeff, thank you for confirming that. You are you.
I absolutely went there, and Chuck, one of the reasons I love you is because you know me so well.
Yes, I did.
Let's just dig right in. There's so much to talk about this week. I tell you, I'm probably going to be, we're going to be just going crazy here, but breaking news. Got two breaking news stories this week as we record. Apple just made one of the second biggest acquisitions ever in its history, even after Beats. Apple paid close to $2 billion for Q.ai, according to sources from both the Financial Times and Reuters have reported it. This would make this Apple's second biggest acquisition ever, after it paid $3 billion for the headphone and audio brands Beats in 2014. Q.ai has developed technology that has analyzed facial expressions to understand silent speech, according to that publication. And patents filed by Q.ai says its technology is used in headphones or glasses, using facial, skin, micro movements to communicate without talking. And this could pave the way to nonverbal discussions with the S lady. So, CEO Avad Mazals has previously found another Israeli startup, PrimeSense, which also was acquired by Apple in 2013. Apple used PrimeSense's technology to develop Face ID, which debuted on the iPhone 10 in 2017. So this is a pretty big acquisition here, I must say. And I want thoughts from everybody here. What about you, Chuck?
I'm really anxious to learn more about this. I was trying to look it up here, Dave, before you got to me, but you beat me. I interviewed somebody at CES that had something that sounds somewhat similar to this, that they were working on for accessibility, as opposed to something talking to Siri or whatever. So this sounds like it's got to be in the ballpark somewhere, but the reason I bring it up is because I really couldn't understand kind of how or why you would want to do this, other than certain accessibility reasons that are obvious. And they really educated me as to the possibilities. And so I'm kind of excited about this, because Apple usually doesn't throw around $1 billion or $2 billion acquisitions needlessly. So and they obviously wanted not just the tech, but also the people. So yeah, there's a lot that I want to find out about this.
Absolutely. Jeff, did you get the chance to see this story, or is this all fresh news to you? What do you think?
A lot of what we're going to discuss tonight is fresh news for me. It's just been that busy of a day. I heard about this, and so I've had time to think about it a little bit. And yes, the accessibility thing that Chuck was talking about, absolutely. I think that's going to play into how Apple uses this. But just because something's great for accessibility doesn't mean you can't use it other places. And it wouldn't surprise me to see Apple use this in their rumored little robot HomePod thing that sits on the countertop. Also, depending on how the technology works, why not put it in a future Vision Pro? And then you can use facial controls, excuse me, in a Vision Pro, but not just for controls. Have it be able to read your facial expressions in fine detail, and so the avatars that it's creating of you are accurately representing your facial expressions.
Absolutely. Speaking of Vision Pro, Marty, where do you think this is going to fit with the Vision Pro? You're muted.
I'm intrigued by Jeff's comments and also Chuck's, the idea that it will be possible for this to expand a lot with accessibility. This is a big ticket expense for Apple, so they must see some greater purpose in it than just the price tag. I'm curious about what patents they hold, maybe stuff they haven't developed that Apple's interested in, and just making more expressive facial expressions for avatars or for personas in Vision Pro. I think that's a pretty hefty price tag for that. So I think you're going to see some interesting use of what patents that they have, and it will develop across platforms. I think primarily for accessibility, but other possibilities too. It's just going to be exciting to see. And the problem is we're going to see it more as innovations of Apple, not necessarily things that came from Apple's acquisition of this particular business. It would be kind of nice to trace back some of the origin of this new stuff that's coming out of Apple and how the acquisitions were of value.
We want to see where this value is. This is no sneeze, nothing to sneeze about. That's a big investment, and obviously Apple was committed to getting something going with AI here. So this is great. Eric, what about you? Yeah, go ahead.
I could see that. Yeah. I could see this adding to Face ID as well, especially if we decide to do something. If you see stuff on laptops where there's a little more power, basically having facial expressions be part of the Face ID to give it a little bit more security, I guess. Avatar use, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I can almost see it now. There's a secret Project Mime out there to build nice expressions, and but the other thing is you can say something and mean totally different things with the same sets of words. So if you're trying to talk to the S lady and say something, it could mean many different things. And if you can read facial expression plus the words, there's a greater chance you could get it right. And there's going to be a lot more of that if we start ending up with glasses that have the ability to do facial recognition and interpretation of expressions. And I see that as, a device to be able to do navigation. There are a couple examples on the Vision Pro now, being able to go to a destination and recognize a particular door, and are you in the right spot? Do you have to walk further? That kind of thing. if you also get the facial expressions, being able to recognize the person you're meeting is the person you're supposed to be meeting, that could be really important.
Jill, one last thought on this.
Well, I think it's great, and I'm glad to see them investing in companies. One of the things that I always had against Microsoft is they bought companies and they buried them. I always like the fact that Apple buys things and incorporates them and makes their software better. And I think it's great. I think it'll be interesting. Hopefully, it doesn't go the direction of the ill. Does anyone remember the band that Amazon came out with? It was hilarious. And it would tell you, "Oh, Jill, you sounded very stressed out there," or "You sounded very angry there." And I'm like, "Okay, you've gone too far." So hopefully we don't get into mood moderation with it, but I don't think they will.
For sure. All right, let's move on here, and we have other breaking news here. That is that the quarterly results. Well, looks like Apple just knocked it out of the park here. Apple announced all-time records in revenue and in iPhone sales. Apple did what it forecasted 3 months ago. It announced an all-time record for the quarter in the company's almost 50-year history. Company revenue was up 16% year over year. Last year, this time of the quarter, and iPhone and services revenue also set all-time records. China growth was up 38% after 4 years of flat down growth. And iPad revenue was up 6%, while Mac revenue was down 7%. It was a quiet quarter, probably because there wasn't a lot of machines that came out here. So here's the breakdown in the revenue. You went right up to $143.8 billion in total revenue. Here's the breakdown here. Just for our friends from Six Colors, I'll get credit on that for Jason Snell. iPhone's still pretty dominant in Apple's business, 59% going, and then next, not getting there is 21% for services. We keep talking about this, and it just keeps going up here. And then you add 8% for watches and other devices, as well as Mac at 6% and iPad at 6% of the revenue per category. As I said, the Mac revenue was down a bit, $8.4 billion, and then year over year, it was down about 7%. The iPad revenue did $8.6 billion, and year over year was about 6%, like we went through here. And the services just crazy, just crazy numbers, 21% there. And iPhone revenue continues to just go crazy. Just amazing results, as well as its revenue 23% year over year. Services revenue $30 billion, and there, that is just such pure profit. I tell you, 14% revenue change. Their gross margins $48.2 billion. It's crazy. And then the wearables $11.5 billion. They were down about a little small, not about 2%. So Apple's total profit was $42.1 billion, and that was 16% year over year. So numbers look amazing. I don't think anybody should be complaining where Apple is. That's my thought anyway. It's definitely pretty amazing. This time I'm going to start with Jeff. What's your initial thoughts?
Of course, you're starting with me because I have not had a chance to look at any of this until this very moment, but that's okay. It's fresh in my mind. So you're going to get perspectives from someone who has literally not thought about this.
It's the best way.
So, all right, first, this Q1 for Apple is the holiday quarter. And I expect to see the holiday quarter just really boost up compared to the rest of the year. And we did see that. So when I look at Max, okay, this kind of fits the slight dip with the product release and refresh cycle for Macs. So if there had been a big Mac announcement for the quarter, that number probably would have gone up. Seeing iPad revenue increasing, okay, that makes me happy, and it fits with growing interest in iPad. Looking at the iPhone revenue, holy forking shirt balls. Okay, don't let anyone tell you iPhone 17 isn't doing well. the way the numbers shot up quarter over quarter, but also year over year.
Yeah.
I mean, that is huge. And last year's iPhone, I felt, was a pretty significant upgrade. So wow, that's just pretty impressive. And the services revenue continues to creep up, and it's going to continue to do that. Yeah, Apple knows what they're doing with their different product lines, and the whole idea that Tim Cook dropped on us years ago about, we know that iPhone won't be the bread and butter for the company forever. We're planning for that today. Okay, they're really, really signaling to us what the next bread and butter is, and that's the whole services part of the business. That's a
really
lot
is.
of money they're making.
I just want to welcome everybody in the chat at youtube.com/intouchwithios. Say hello to Cletus. Cletus says, I love when Apple makes money now. I agree with him. That is pretty amazing. And we also have we had Brian in the chat, as well as Weather Bucket, and Cletus even says, I remember when Apple was going rocking, when they were rocking, they were going to go bankrupt. So yeah, that happened too. So think about this now. So just some now. And then also one more comment from Cletus. He says, now everyone buys the best and they get compensated for their craft.
Dave, I just realized I hadn't scrolled through all the charts. Okay. You want to have a single thing you can point to show or to help show where the boost comes from. Look at what's happening in China.
Yeah.
Holy crap. The China numbers are just, that's going to account for a lot of what we're seeing with Apple sales overall.
I'll go to Chuck. What's your thoughts? So that there's great news.
So much of what has already been said. I want to point to the services part, because I feel like it's easy to say, oh, Apple's, ramping up services. Yes, they are, but they're delivering value for it, and people are responding. And I think that's something that's easy to overlook. This is not just because they decided to put some ads here or some ads there and are trying to push that down our throat just to push the numbers up. That's going to help, no question about it. And there's probably a place for it. But I know, I mean, I get a monthly bill from Apple, and I'm happy to pay it because I get something for those services. And I think that's a point that gets really swept under the rug. When I look at Apple TV Apple TV. Sorry. When I think about, all the complaints that there were about, you need to give us more iCloud. Well, okay, it would have been nice, but now they get to charge if you want more iCloud. And I feel like that's another win. I mean, just go right down the line along with the new Apple Creators Bundle. That's delivering a really, really nice value. As long as they can keep up the value part, the services are going to grow, and people are going to be happy to pay it.
Yeah.
Like me.
Absolutely. Anybody else want to throw out the comments? Who's left? I'll open it up to any of you.
Well, I was going to say that a little bit what Chuck was saying is that Google makes money by selling all our data, right? And Microsoft's been making money. They laid off 15,000 people last year. It is different ways of making money. And like I said, it always feels like Apple makes money the right way. We're going to make the best thing. We're going to make services people want. We're going to keep going and being strategic about it, and I think that's, why I'm proud to be in part of Apple, the world now.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's poor human nature to look at the foibles of others and laugh at it. The schadenfreude is just not the correct thing to do. But I do it anyways. And I put in the notes something that just came out 4 hours ago, or at least hit that Microsoft's 357 billion route is the worst since DeepSeek hit NVIDIA. And it's a Yahoo Finance. They're talking about how their stock, they sold off a bunch of, I think, their stock. And as a result, it dropped 10% of their value. Yeah. They could be making good products and attracting people towards their products and services, but instead they're doing a numbers game.
Yeah. And think of it this way. How many people are forced to use Microsoft products because they are in the work world? Yeah. What would that number be if all the reins were taken off and we just worked on whatever platform, it would be a lot different.
All right. So let's talk a bit about what Tim Cook said. I think this found this to be fascinating, some of the things he had said. Apple said they were caught off guard by the AirPods Pro 3's popularity. Demand was strong after the earbuds launched in September of 2025, and popularity reportedly caught them off guard. They said they were supply strained during the quarter, and we think it would have grown year over year if we would have not been constrained. Tim Cook told Reuters in a published report along with their record-breaking results for the fourth quarter, the 2025 calendar year. He's referring to Apple's wearable, home, and accessories category, which saw around a 2% drop year over year. And that probably could have something to do with it, which is very possible. So interesting, I say the least, when it comes to that. The other interesting thing is Apple did respond to the RAM shortage and the high prices that's going on with them on the earnings call. He said that it's the fast rising RAM and SSD shortage chip prices in the supply chain. Tim Cook said that the rising memory chip prices had a minimal impact on Apple's gross margin in the fourth quarter 2025, and he expects to have a bit more of an impact on the company's gross margin in the current quarter. Cook added that the Apple is aware with the rising prices and will look at a range of options to deal with that in the long term if necessary. So again, they reported a lot of great earnings. So I think Apple's going to adjust to that. So it's not a bad thing to adapt to it as well. Another thing they mentioned is iPhone. We just talked about how insane that the numbers were for iPhone. Well, they've reached 2.5 billion active devices in the world, and that's what Apple announced. And then they said we're excited to announce that the install base is now 2.5 billion active devices, which is a testament to the incredible customer satisfaction for the very best products and services in the world, Tim Cook said in the press release, and its record-breaking results. Apple said it had more than 2.35 billion active in the year quarter before, so the number continues to rise. It's showing that Apple has a mass opportunity in its sell services and all that. So another great thing to take a look at to see where Apple goes with their stuff here. So and then Apple just to wrap it up, Tim Cook said that that the iPhone sales towards the end of 2025 were just simply staggering, and included the record-breaking years, the 143.8 billion and the profits here. So best ever quarter driven, and iPhone had a tremendous part of that whole thing. So pretty incredible where Apple went with this, as well as anything else. I'll throw out if you have any more comments on any of those discussions. There was plenty more talked about, but we'll probably be here a long time if we keep going. So anybody have anything else to add on these?
Dave, I'm going to throw one thing out. This one in particular, you may want to, if you just want to listen for entertainment, this is a good one to download as a podcast, or I believe it's available on Apple's website as well to listen to. Some of the analysts ask some really good questions. Some of the analysts every time, it's almost like they think they're going to trip Tim up and get an answer to a question that he's clearly not going to answer. Everybody in this panel and 90% of the people listening to this know that he's not going to answer it. Yeah. They ask it anyway. And even one analyst, I'm afraid I've lost who it was. questioned Tim on how they were making the high margins. And, Tim danced around it and basically said, we're not in a position to talk about that. And he said, well, at least I tried. Why?
Oh my God.
It really is. It's worth listening to the Q&A from the analysts. You'll get a kick out of it.
We definitely will. Yeah, I'll put a link in there'll be a link in the show notes to listen to the podcast. It's always enjoyable to listen back to hear what Tim has to say. And, and when you don't see him, he's shaking his head some of these questions that these analysts ask him. So, so that's it that was all hot off the press. It only got announced maybe 2 or 3 hours ago prior to us recording today. So, I think, some great results. I'm excited. I think we're all excited, as always, for being in the Apple community in the world with our products. So let's go ahead and move on. We'll move on to the In Touch with the Vision Pro this week. Apple did release the third beta of visionOS 26.3, and the beta there's really not much to talk about, like we've been talking about, right, Marty and Eric? I mean, it's just we've got links to the actual developer release of it all, and it was kind of nothing to say about it, really, unless you guys have anything to add, Marty or Eric, on it.
I think, I've looked at subsequent release notes over all the versions of it. The release notes have gotten thinner and thinner, and I suspect Apple is not putting everything out there. I'm not saying they're being deceptive or they're not being helpful, but I think the larger release notes led to a lot of speculation that maybe they didn't want people to go to. So it's hard for us to find out new information about what the release notes are and should they mean anything. Sometimes the results you get are what you got with the last set of the release notes. So it's been kind of a dry season.
Seems it for sure. Eric, you want anything to add?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is really just kind of clean up from the 26.2 update and kind of getting all of the basics stabilized before the 26.4, where they roll out the upgraded Siri, and that'll add extra complexity. So I'm kind of glad there aren't a lot of notes, kind of stabilizing things and making everything kind of work, fixing little bug bits, making controllers work better. I think that's a good focus. Once a new once a new S Lady gets added into the mix, things will get more exciting from that point forward.
Anybody else? Before we move on? All right, let's start with about some software updates before we get to beta. Apple did release iOS 26.2.1. It really basically was an update to support AirTag 2, which we're going to talk about at great length in a little bit here. Just a simple update. It just adds support to that for the AirTag and some bug fixes. Of course, they always say that. So that was released, as well as it was released for watchOS 26.2.1 for precision finding support in AirTag 2. So that means you're going to get more precision finding with the Apple Watch, because it's going to actually show, like we're used to on the iPhone, having you're 20 feet to your left or to the right, and it'll actually let the watch do what the phone would normally do here. So you're seeing some more a little bit of advancements here that is new to help, especially with the AirTag 2. And again, we'll talk about that in just a minute here with this. So and then of course there were some other updates that came out too, which I found was absolutely crazy. It was the fact that they released a update to older devices. So you have iOS 16.7.13, you have iOS 15.8.6 for older devices. And this is to support phones like the iPhone 6, the iPhone 7, the iPhone 8, and there's the phones right there. And a couple of the older iPads too, just because it was just for the reasoning was because they wanted to make sure that the iMessages stayed compatible with it, as well as some security improvements. But there are a lot of people out there still, I guess, sporting these older devices. So it's definitely interesting to see that Apple is doing this type of support, which I guess kudos to them for supporting their older devices. You're in the Android world. That's not going to happen because it goes end of life and that's it. And then 18.7.4 and iPad OS 18.7.4 was also released. And those are same with the updates with 18. Apple's pushing hard to get everybody on 26. But it's still there. And then in 26.2.1, it did address a problem with emergency calls on older phones that are used in Australia. So that was another thing that was added, as well as they even did updates to the 5S, believe it or not. I think that's kind of crazy. Look at this.
Crap.
13 years later after launch, they released 12.5.8 on the iPhone 5S and the iPhone 6, meaning that Apple is continuing to support these devices for the 13 and 12 years after they were launched. The 5S came out in 2013 and the 6 was in 2014. The release notes say that it extends the certificate required to use features like iMessage and FaceTime and device activation, so they will continue to work after January of 2027. My gosh, I can't even believe that that's still there. Chuck, you're still sporting an iPhone 6 or 6S, right, for your camera?
I have a 6 and 6S or 6S Plus that I use as a camera. I also have, a Mint cell phone plan in it. It works just fine. In fact, at times it works better than AT&T. So I was divided, and as soon as I saw this, I went and installed the update on it. I think there are people out there that the tendency is to think, well, they're using it as their main device. Pardon me. No, not at all. I don't use that on a regular basis, but it's there. I have it. And there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, are all the specs up to everything we have now? Of course not. But it's still really usable, especially as a camera or as an emergency phone. So, I think Apple's to be super roundly applauded for this.
Yeah.
And Dave, to your point, I dare you to go back and try to use an Android device 12, 13, 14, 15 years old.
I mean, it's I'd be surprised if it even works at this point. So,
it worked great as a doorstop, I can tell you that.
Anybody have anything else to add?
I think this also reflects the reality of people handing old phone devices to kids to use to keep in touch with them, assuming they have access to Wi-Fi somewhere. So having messages continue to work is important.
And then Cletus in the chat, he says, "Bravo, Apple! The 6 was a good phone." Yes, we would agree with that. Hey, I love the 6. I had the 6 Plus, and when I had the 6, so it was on gear. It was a great phone for its time. But that's great. People continue to use it.
I bet you it took longer to create the release than it would be to actually put the new certificate code in there. Just from software point of view, I bet you. That was funny.
I've got an old phone somewhere in the drawers that I have under here, and I'm was tempted to see if I could feel my way into finding the phone. I don't know how old it is, but it was one of those phones. It's sort of like, okay, so maybe I won't turn it in for an upgrade in case some family member breaks their phone or they need a quick replacement. And that never happened, but I still have this phone. So now, this is the week of starting up old devices for me. Now I'm really kind of tempted to start that sucker up and update it and see if it's still functional.
You might have a whole nother camera, Marty,
that you don't use. You don't take pictures that often.
I have plenty of cameras that I don't use. I don't need another.
I would like to do an archaeology dig in your house to see how many of your electronic devices that you have.
Yeah.
Listen to who's talking.
Listen to who's talking. I'll tell you that. I have new stuff. The old stuff goes away.
I can vouch for Dave. He doesn't have the old stuff. He has the new stuff, but he has a lot of it.
Jeff, I bet you if I offered Dave $100, if he could produce a SideQuest drive in 20 minutes, he would find one.
Nice try, though.
It's
all right. But
I've got a zip drive somewhere in the basement.
Drives, I had those from work. I didn't buy those personally, but anyway, let's.
So, Marty, is it true that you can still find the zip drive? You just listen for that that ghost going click 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 click.
Oh, Omega, baby.
Oh, I hate that sound.
Oh, all right. Let's go on to the betas for this week. 26.3 was released this past week, and I went to developers. So we've got the registered developers can download this. It's got some updates that includes the transitioning from an iPhone to an Android device is more improved, so that we can get people to do this even more, as well as moving data from one to another can now be done without having to download a specific app. And then Apple's transfer process supports moving photos, messages, notes, apps, and passwords, and phone numbers, and more. And it's got a new feature called the notification forwarding setting for third-party wearables in the European Union. So there's been a number of updates that was released. Marty, did you see anything with your updates?
No, not really. I mean, I'm so busy updating different devices that I don't have enough time to spend actually looking at the differences with the updates. And they always come as surprises to me. Oh, wow. When did this start? So yeah.
So notably, some other things here. I'll just want to go through these real quick. Is 26.3 did add a privacy setting to limit carrier location tracking. So what it'll do is this setting reduces the location data that available to mobile networks to increase your privacy. That's nice to protect that from to do that. So far, it's the carriers that it's doing it. It's in 4 countries. In the United States, it's Boost Mobile. So that's not a big MVNO. So I think I would like to see the big 3 be as part of this this thing here. Even Mint Mobile is involved here. So, and Germany and UK and Thailand had others, but I would say this potentially could come later. So, you definitely are going to be interesting here. So, more comments in the chat. Cletus, never be quiet. We love you chatting and commenting here. So I just want to make sure I call that out to everybody listening here. So you always can comment. We love having you in the chat. So don't be crazy. So the other thing that there is there's some more new ways that you can customize your iPhone. We'll talk about that later. And then of notice here in 26.3, some of the continuity features are broken. Testing this, so in the beta. So if you want to hold on and updating to the 3rd beta that was released earlier this week, these are not working. So it's affecting iPhone mirroring, AirPlay mirroring to Apple TV 4K, using continuity camera wirelessly with a Mac or an Apple TV 4K, or a sidecar from a Mac to an iPad Pro. So that's definitely something. If you're worried about, most people, like I always say, don't do beta unless you know what you're doing. In touch with Mac this week, we've got beta for Tahoe 26.3, or as Jeff calls it, Big Lakes, and it was an update. So there was really no word of much that was updated on. I installed it on my beta Mac, and it did not have anything I saw. I don't know if Marty, you noticed anything. I don't think there's much. Well as
no.
This was an interesting story here. Bartender. Remember Bartender? That's the bar, the top bar on the Mac that allows you to bring your icons down to a nice manageable view. We know the big history about Bartender. Had some horrible vulnerabilities. A lot of us abandoned using Bartender, but Mac OS Tahoe seemingly broke. It's beyond repair, which is interesting. As someone, he was, as the author says here, is 9to5Mac, having a little process running in the background. It was, he did love the Bartender's core feature, the ability to clean up and organize your Mac OS menu bar by hiding and rearranging it. So then came Tahoe, and the underhood changes basically broke it. So I don't know if they're ever going to come back with this. In fact, there was another one we talked about, Marty. ICE is now is not being developed anymore. The previous developers moved on to another job. So I don't know if is there any menuing the menu bar management tools. Barbie's the one.
Barbie.
We talked about
Barbie.
That last week.
Absolutely.
Okay,
I've switched over to Barbie.
I did just see that too. So we'll have to check that out. I believe we talked about that last week's show. So, but I found this fascinating to see. And then Bartender's still on Set app, so they haven't done anything. So I'm not sure where it's going.
I did not hear there was a problem, so I still have Bartender running.
If it's running on Tahoe, I don't know. Are you having trouble? I don't think you are. It doesn't sound like, but maybe it is. So be aware of that. So let's go on to the other big topics. We got two huge topics to talk about this week. Apple released the Apple Creative Studio, and there's lots of discussion and chatter and controversy about what's going on with this. So, Apple did release the Creative Studio app bundle. It's now available for $12.99 a month. They did talk about it about 2 weeks ago. It released yesterday as we record this. It includes Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, Pixelmator Pro on the Mac and the iPad, along with Motion Compressor and Main Stage for the Mac. Final Cut Pro's Apple video editing software, and Logic Pro for audio editing and creation, and Pixel Pro being as an image editing app that Apple purchased in 2024. Apple is still they've been rolling out the bundle. It's all rolled out now, so you can go and subscribe to them. And they are available. So all of them are available today. This as we're recording this. So make sure if you are interested, you can check it out. It does have a 3-month trial, so you can try it out. I didn't have a new Mac, and I subscribed to it yesterday, and it definitely was an interesting thing. So we'll start with what people's thoughts are so far. Jill, you had the comment there. I know access and comments and experiences. I'd love to hear what your experience was with the Creative Bundle if you jumped into it.
I did. So the first thing I did is I checked to make sure that Final Cut Pro, before I got into it, had all the features as they promised that first release would have, and they do. They do have everything in there, the AI transcriptions, everything was there. And then Marty brought up, and I'm sure he's going to talk about that there's an education package, and I happen to work for a university. So I signed up for the 3-month, and then I upgraded everything and got all the other apps, which I haven't yet all had a chance to discover what they do. But I think this is going to be the future for it. And there's a lot of features out there in other software that I'd love to see come for Final Cut Pro, which is the primary software I use for all videos. And my family will be happy to know that they now have access to all the iPad, software, the iOS software, which I didn't have access to before. So it also kind of opened things up for people I know.
Anybody else jump in and try to check the Creative Suite? Did you do, Marty?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it because it was sort of a day of discovery for me yesterday. First, I kept seeing notifications that it was out, and then I tried to find it, and it's not easy to find. I kind of backed into it, and for people who are looking to add this, I'm on my Mac. I went to go to the App Store, tried to search for Creative Creator Cloud. No such luck. So then I went and noticed that there were some updates available, like on Keynote. And so I went to the Keynote app, and it looked the icon looked differently. Looked different, and it said, go ahead and upgrade. But underneath that, there was a notification that said, this is part of the Creative Cloud that Apple is doing, or Creative Group that Apple's doing. And if you view that, then that's how you actually find all the apps in the suite here. And then you can see there are certain that you already own and certain that maybe you haven't already owned. But if you purchase the suite, then you become available for downloading all of those new versions. In the process of purchasing, at least with me, I think it was different with Jill. I use my Apple ID, which is not a university ID, but I wanted to see if I could get the educational discount. So I in the pricing section, when you start to purchase it, it gave me the option to click as an educational service. That popped up a separate window, and the separate window said, okay, this is your Apple ID. And I thought, oh, I'm screwed because that's the address they're going to use. Nope. There is a line there for putting in your university ID, university email. In my case, university email. There's also kind of pull down menus to say what school are you associated with, et cetera, et cetera. And so I went ahead and filled that out. It took me a while to realize that I could put my university ID in the line because that line was kind of grayed out. And I thought, well, that means I'm not going to be able to do this. But I got it in. And then what happens is they send your university email or your school email address a code, which then you put in into the process, and it then allows you to purchase it at the academic discount. So I got that whole suite for
awesome.
$30, which is pretty amazing. A little different because what I did was I went ahead and started loading this on other computers and other devices. So outside of my studio here, the Mac Mini, I've got a couple of MacBooks, a MacBook Air. And as long as it was tied to my Apple ID and I'm using the same Apple ID on all those devices, it treats it like any other app. So like one purchase that I can use on all these different devices, which is, again, pretty cool. I know when I was purchasing the educational version of a Final Cut Pro, they have three, Final Cut Pro, Logic, and I think Motion, for, I don't know, it was like $300 for all three, the educational version. It was limited to 2 devices that you could have it on. I saw this different than Creative Cloud. One of my frustrations was it adds all those new apps in it. It just sticks it in an app, but apps across alphabetically in your list of applications. I want that in a suite format. So I had to do some adding a folder, moving them in there. So when I go down my application list, there's Apple Creative Suite as a folder, and I can open that up. Also, moving it onto my dock so I can have it as an expandable section on my dock, which was kind of fun. Adobe does theirs in like one collection in one part of your application thing, and it makes it feel like a suite instead of the way Apple does it, which has these apps spread throughout your whole application.
It had a link you could go get, and then it would bring the whole list up on one page, but you had to go get. One thing I want to add is Brian, Brian just made this comment. He's attempting to qualify for the education pricing, but his school wasn't listed, so he filed a request for my school to be considered. So that's kind of a bummer that he had to wait for that. So, but that's kind of can be expected. Anybody else? Did they jump in and install it?
Yeah, I had most of the stuff already, and the only reason I was interested in it was for use on the iPad. So I ordered it. I was able to get the education pricing on it, which was kind of nice. I kept my old version because if you pay monthly or yearly or whatever, if you keep the old version, you could stop paying for a few months and then turn it back on again later, but still have apps. But yeah, it was nice. I still kind of prefer the old icons over the new ones, but when it installs, it installs the 2 apps right next to each other in the apps folder. So if you had everything before and you get the new one, then you have 2 of everything, one with a nice icon, one with the new modern icon. And and it works, and you can switch back and forth between them, and it seems to run. And I did a little bit of playing on the iPad. Haven't had enough time to tell if there's any functional difference, but yeah, there were definitely updates to the Keynote pages and numbers. There's the .5 release that came out at the same time everything else came out. I ended up kind of getting all of the individual bits and downloading them, and then go back to figure out how to actually get it fully registered afterwards. But if you search for Creator Studio on a Mac, it takes you to the right spot where you can just grab it, and you can download it before you figure out how to pay for it. So
that's true. I was gonna say, I did try some of the AI.
Yeah. I was just going to say, just to add, so what do you get for your money? And, they talked about how you're going to have enhanced stuff. For me, the limitations with Keynote has always been very few templates. And I went in and looked at Keynote templates, and they kind of have that whole scroll thing where they have different topical headings for it, and then probably 8 to 10 different templates for that particular theme or approach.
Chuck, did you even explore this yet, or?
I am.
No, for several reasons, but right now I've just got my head down working on a few projects. Eventually I want to, but I also want to see some of the additional things that come out for both Keynote and Final Cut. But there's no question I'm going to be doing it, because when you do the math, $120 a year, I believe. 129. Okay, so called 130. Do the math on it and figure out, which ones. I mean, I don't use Logic, all right, so that one would be kind of wasted on me. But Final Cut, Compressor, Keynote, Motion. I'm losing one, but
Pages.
Pages. Yeah. I mean, those numbers too. Those all are things that I use. And so if they show me that I can get extra value in those, and I think what I've seen of Final Cut, it's already there. So it's just a matter of me getting the time and then learning to use it. But yeah, this is going to, we're back to the revenues discussion. I'm going to be contributing
more. How
more.
about you, Jeff? Okay.
Not for my workflow. My workflow uses other apps, and except if I go to a conference, I'm using Keynote. So yeah, I will be testing this out, not because I see a problem with it. I think it's a great value, and I think it's a smart move on Apple's part. It's just for my workflow. I already have other tools that work the way I need them to. Okay. So I'm set.
Just for the sake of time here. Okay, go ahead. John.
I just wanted to say one thing. I did try some of the features. I use Microsoft because I'm in the working world, but as soon as I'm not paying for Microsoft anymore. I just get it through work. But I did try some of the AI features in Final Cut Pro, and it does an automatic transcription, was very fast. And sometimes you say something stupid like, did I say a yellow-rumped warbler when I meant a cerulean warbler? I can actually search in my text and find when I actually said that word and then go fix it. So the AI features are nice, and I just can't wait, for them to get better. But having that transcript search was important for me, because sometimes I talk foolishly.
Okay. Anybody else want anything else to add? There's so much other stuff we could talk about, but I'm going to save that for another episode, because there's people asking about old apps versus new, all that stuff. We'll hit that next week on this. So, but I want to talk about is the AirTag. Now, I of course have them. It just came out. I just got it today.
Of course,
I'm unboxing it as you speak. So does Marty. So let's unbox it. Got to do a quick live one. There it is. There's four of them. There's 4 of them in there. So there we go. And I'm gonna start checking those out. So really, what it was the biggest thing that was added was the fact that it has expanded connectivity range and improved viability, and it's much louder. That was always the biggest issue with the current AirTag, that it was just very, very difficult to hear sometimes. So you've got all these great things that have been added to it, and yeah, it's just crazy stuff here. So some of the things that was added is precision finding upgrades, with the ultra wide band chip. It added the new ultra wide band that's in there, and it's got that extended range. So it also has a compatibility to Apple Watch models. Now you can find precision finding with it. The Apple Watch models are going to be limited on which models you can go with them. So I think it's going to be probably like the Watch 6 or Watch 7 or later. I don't have the exact names here right off the top of my head here, but it's going to be more recent watches, I would anticipate to speak. Like I said, the speaker is going to be much louder. It does have privacy protections that were added with that. What hasn't changed is the battery life, the design, and the price. So it was $99 to buy the 4-pack, $25 to buy a single. And the battery life is the same, and the pesky ways I can't get that sucker open for the life of me. We talked about this, Jeff. You're the master at it, but we'll see. I think I'm gonna switch out a couple of my primary AirTag and see where it goes. Anybody gonna jump in and grab some besides Marty and myself? Jeff, Chuck.
Next time I need to add an AirTag to something, of course it'll be the new one.
I am. Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, I was going to say, I have the old ones, and it's the battery with the bitterness coating on them that you can't use in the Tag 1. And as soon as I found the Tags 2 work with the coating and I don't have to sit there with alcohol scrubbing it off, I decided I will upgrade.
Lick it till it's not bitter.
Yeah. You can suck it.
I tried that.
Suck on it until it disappears.
But I have an AirTag in my Subaru Outback somewhere, and it is so quiet I can't find it anywhere. So I will replace. Yes, I'm going to replace 8 of my AirTags.
Yeah, and people don't lick your.
You can get sick.
No, do not lick your batteries.
I got mine engraved, and I thought it would take longer to get, but they were supposed to arrive tomorrow. They arrived today. And my engraving says, "If lost, please go help Jeff Gamet."
Thank you. Thank you.
And I can't wait to field test these things. I just have to get them powered up and then find somebody's pocket to drop it into when they're not paying attention.
I am so looking forward to the first time a random person walks up to me and says, "Jeff, I'm here to help."
Oh, Chuck, are you going to get some?
I've just like I think Jill said, or whoever said it. Yeah, Jeff said it. Whenever I need my next one, yes, of course I'll get the new one. I might get one for the luggage, because that would be one place that I think that extra tone, the extra volume would be really useful. So,
oh yeah, maybe I'm buying some sooner than I realized.
Yeah, I got them in all sincerity. I got them for my wife, who, when she is looking for something, her hearing and her directional hearing, as it is for a lot of folks, and it's not just my wife, is not as good and not as accurate. And so I'm hoping the boost in power will help with that, along with the ability to use Find Me, precision finding for helping with that. So,
yeah, sorry, Jeff, but that's the only use case I could think of that really I would really find that extra volume a differentiating thing.
Yeah, but that makes sense.
Yeah. Although I do, I should point out that in the chat room, Craig asked if there's what the trade-in price is.
Yeah, he did.
Eric's response was the right one.
Yeah, there's no trade-ins. All right, Greg.
Yeah, this is one of those things where you help friends and family, and when you replace yours, you pass down your AirTag 1 to someone else.
And tell them to get the thing open and put the battery in.
The next
Right.
time somebody says they want to borrow some luggage, you send the luggage with an AirTag.
Yep.
Yeah. Or you spy on them,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I'm thinking that then they can replace the battery, and take over the AirTag, and you're all set.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to help me 50% better at stalking people now.
But I want to put a new one on my keys, because the number of times I put my keys in a pocket with a hole in it and then don't notice I lost them until it's too late. Yeah. I want the directional ability, and I want noise, and so I'm looking forward to that. Although I'm gonna have to buy a new watch.
Which one do you have?
That's how they get you, Eric.
Mine's not new enough to find it. So
you want my Ultra 2?
Ooh.
That's
just kidding. I mean, you can.
Ooh, a little commerce going on here.
Oh wait, it's Ultra 1.
It's not the 2.
It's Ultra 1.
Oh, see, that's my problem. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was at the Farm and
Farm
Fleet
and
Day,
Fleet.
and I was
There you
sharing
go.
on pants, and lost it.
And
great.
Brian just said he may pick up a pack. He likes your suggestion, Eric, of keeping them in a bag within a luggage rather than the overall luggage itself. So I would tend to agree with that.
Yeah, that works really well.
I would definitely tend to agree with that. So, and lots of other chatter here about these AirTags. So there's so much else we could hit as well, but I'm going to save that again for another time, because we got some news I really want to hit this week, because there's a lot of great announcements. Although I have another unboxing that happened today. I got the new Unity Band. There it is. And I'm wearing it.
Ooh.
There it is.
Oh, nice.
Everybody can see it on camera there. Look at that.
Oh, that looks really nice. I like that.
They came out this today. It is $99, so it's because it's a solo loop. So, but it had a nice little card in here and telling you about what it's going to be for. See that? And packaging, of course, Apple's always with their packaging is always very good with it. So, I got a smaller size, so it actually fits really nice. So I'm happy, and I like these bands. I've always liked them. I've been using these solo loops for quite a while. So go check that out and take a look as well. So, but let's get to some of the other news here this week. Link is in the show notes about the band as well. One of Apple's most popular shows is going to get renewed. So Shrinking. I just watched the first new episode of season 3 this week. Is Jason Segel and Harrison Ford. This will be and it already has been renewed for a 4th season. So it is extremely popular. I smile with the show and just enjoy it. And it's funny. Harrison Ford is just absolutely amazing. I think Jason Segel is really, really good. And the trailer there shows you, that's not a spoiler, that he's driving and he has Alzheimer's. He shouldn't be driving, but he did it on a track. So it is one of the most popular services, one of the more popular shows on Apple TV. So anybody watch this show?
I guess
love
I
it.
should start.
It's an absolutely fun show to watch.
It's one of those shows. Charlotte Henry gets credit. She shamed me into watching it, and I'm so glad she did, because it is really a joy. Harrison Ford is so good. His timing is unbelievable.
She's awesome, and all the other. But Ted McKinley, remember him? He's in it, and so a lot of good actors in this show. So you should check it out. It's a lot of fun. So, another automaker is actually going to be offering a car CarPlay, and I was pretty surprised about this. This is going to be doubling down on CarPlay support, which is Volvo. Is they've decided to double down on CarPlay, and none of this pesky stuff that GM is saying. And Volvo says CarPlay is here to stay. So that's what they said. Their engineering and technology officer had an interview. He says, yes, well, absolutely will. And when said whether Volvo will continue to Volvo, we're going to continue to support CarPlay. It's kind of a part of our mentality on this. We want to integrate it into your digital life, not force you to do something. So one thing is unclear is whether Volvo will support the CarPlay Ultra. I think CarPlay Ultra honestly is dead. I just don't see it. I mean, they have said nothing about that. Don't you guys think with CarPlay Ultra? I mean, but it's great to see that another automaker is really embracing CarPlay. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I just wish my car would.
Well, what are you waiting for?
I'm not surprised Volvo's doing this, or that they made this announcement. That does seem very Volvo. CarPlay Ultra, okay, it takes a long time to get new features into cars. The lead time is years. So the fact that we haven't seen anything in a car yet, okay. But at the same time, we have had several car manufacturers say, actually, we're not going to support that. And I believe Volvo is one of those. So I figure Apple has a couple more years before we hit the point where we can really say, yeah, CarPlay Ultra was a dud and never really made it at all.
So, exciting times. Apple TV is launching F1 programming in the app ahead of the season kickoff. Apple TV is an exclusive streaming home for Formula One racing starting this year. I'm excited to watch it since the movie F1. And it's the first, ahead of its first Grand Prix race in March. And the Apple TV app is now offering a variety of programming to help fans get ready for the season. So it'll have all kinds of the different, it'll stream all the races in Apple TV, and it's included free to subscribers. So it's really nice. Here's a couple things that they're going to have, including some livery revealed from Red Bull and 2026 F1 rule changes. So you'll get really the lay of the land of what it's going to have. And there's what it looks like in the app, so you can start watching all this and get acquainted with F1. So many of them they probably have attracted some new fans, which is exciting. And to see where that goes. So, any comments on that?
Yeah, I just rewatched F1 this last weekend. I'm trying to cut through some of the stuff that was nominated for Best Picture, and hadn't seen F1 or paid much attention to it since I saw it in the theater, and really enjoyed the film again. It was like, okay, I get it. I can see where this would have been nominated for a Best Picture. I don't think it'll win, but now it's like I want to spend time watching as much as I can, a full, real F1 Formula One race. Not just a clipaways to Brad Pitt going, on a montage of different races. I want to sit and watch a race, and so I'm looking for the venue to be able to do that with.
And I'm kind of interested, in the F1 rule changes. I never really cared before, but, like a little teeny rule change, and all of a sudden it's like, is this excluded or not excluded? And so I'm kind of looking forward to that too.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
I'm going to try looking at an F1 thing just to see what it's like. Sure. But yes.
Yeah, I'm same way. I've had a minor interest in this, but never enough to really spend any time learning anything about it, or even sitting down and watching a full race. And now I feel like, I would like to.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to too. I never was into it either until I saw this movie. It was a lot of fun. So it's coming soon. Ted Lasso. It's coming back. Apple announced that its hit comedy drama series Ted Lasso is returning for a fourth season in the quote-unquote summer of 2026, but did not share a specific date. Ted Lasso is one of the most popular shows that ever released on the Apple TV streaming service. And its character, Ted Lasso, played by Jason Sudeikis, starts off with a small-time football coach from Kansas who's hired to coach a professional soccer team in England, despite having zero coaching and soccer experience. In the fourth season, Apple says Lasso is going to return to England to take on its biggest challenge yet, coaching a second division women's soccer team. Throughout throughout the course of the season, Ted and the team is going to leap before they look, taking chances they've never thought they would, says Apple. And this trailer is like just a couple, not even the 30 seconds. So they're really teasing this thing, trying to get people ready to watch this. So, and the fourth season is in production, and according to Apple, and fan favorites such as Hannah Whittingham and Juno Temple, Brett Goldstein, Brandon Hunt, and Jeremy Swift are all set to return in the upcoming episodes. That's awesome. And then I forgot to mention Brett Goldstein's also in Shrinking, so he's actually executive producer of that show. So that's even more reason to watch Shrinking. So, and the third season was released in 2023, so it's been 3 years. It's just been too long. So, anybody excited like me about Ted Lasso? I want to go back and watch again.
I have to get through season 3.
Get going.
I kind of stopped at season 2. Yeah.
I hadn't paid enough attention to exactly what the setup was going to be, and so I was relieved to see that they're taking it back to the UK, because that kind of gives an excuse for so many of the fan favorite characters to come back and interact in some capacity. And so, because when they were talking about, I think at one point, either I misread it or I just misperceived it, that they were going to try to have Ted doing something in Kansas. And it's like, okay, is this going to be one of those things where they take the star and transplant him and it just falls flat on his face? I think this has a real good chance of living up to the Ted Lasso legend.
No, I think I agree with you. I did see that, and I was still concerned that, I don't know if I want to watch that. But still, the Ted Lasso, I would anyway. But I think this is a good move on their part. Anybody else?
Yeah. I kind of thought that maybe you would like try to introduce America to soccer, because we just are not digging it, in big numbers. So I thought, well, maybe it could be a show, but I don't know. I'll probably watch it eventually.
And Cletus in the chat has the quote, "Football is life." This is true. And then he had to say, "Wankers." So, see, you're doing great, Cletus. You're giving some great content for the show this week. Thank you.
At least he didn't quote Roy Kent, Dave. We would be off YouTube.
So it's great. So I'm really looking forward for that to come out here. So
that trailer was something else.
That's too short. I want more.
Guess I should watch the trailer.
I was surprised by the trailer.
So, the Apple's Fifth Avenue store is closing overnight next week. Oh my. And here's why. Apple's iconic Fifth Avenue store is in New York City, is normally open 24/7, but it will be closed overnight on some days next week. According to Apple's website, the store will be closing at 10 p.m. local time each night through February 2nd, from February 2nd through Wednesday, February 4th. The store will reopen each morning at 8 a.m. local time during the period. They're closing the store to complete maintenance on the signature glass cube entrance, according to a source familiar with the matter. And it's internally, it's explained as preservation work. The store opened in 2006, and it's got that street level giant cube entrance and leading to the underground store. Tim Cook and other company executives often attend the store for major product launches, and that cube has been outfitted with everything from a giant Apple Vision Pro headset outlining to a colorful S-LED glow in recent years. I have been to that store. I think it's a freaking phenomenal store. It's one of the stores I had to make sure I went and saw. And has anybody else been to this store? Yeah,
I've been to the store.
It's a pretty phenomenal store, I must say. Apple's just doing great things with their stores. I mean, I think it's to have a place to go like that, and it's strange to go into a place like that. It's more of like a model or something like. But you're not. But people go there to actually want to purchase an Apple product, and that's what Apple does when the way they do their stores. That's why we visit stores. But with you, Jeff, I had to make sure to go to the Boulder stores. So I mean,
and we have photo proof that you were there
as well. So, any other comments on this?
Let's just say it's very intimate photo proof.
There was some hugging involved. Anybody else have to say about this?
I have not been to the store. I would love to go to the store, but I haven't been to I haven't had any reason to travel to New York. I've passed through JFK, but I have not been any reason to set downtown. Dave, I feel a little disappointed in you that you are letting down the second city and not talking about the
by
Chicago.
No means, I will never
Michigan
say
Avenue
that it's not. I mean, it's got some architectural uniqueness. It's the New York store, but Apple Michigan Avenue, it's pretty phenomenal. Believe me, I talked about it on the fourth episode. I said it's right on the river. We got to do a podcast right outside the store. You can't do that in New York City. Forget it. You might get mugged.
Might.
That's right.
I don't know. With Dave there, I can see people walking up thinking, "Oh man, yeah, we're gonna mug these people," but they get closer and like, "Oh no, that's Dave Ginsburg. Not gonna do it."
All right, this is a good story.
Don't mess around with Dave.
Right?
Yeah, we'll just go break in his house while he's gone and steal all his stuff.
Bite your tongue.
Oh, there's a plan.
All right. So last story, I think this was a good wrap up with the Halide's co-founder Sebastian D. With joins Apple design team. He is the co-founder of the iPhone camera app Halide, and today announced that he has joined the human interface design team at Apple. He's so excited to work with the very best team in the world on my favorite products, he said. This marks a return to Apple for DeWitt, who he previously worked on things such as iCloud, MobileMe, and the Find My app. Why? No wonder he left because of MobileMe and he also completed design work for other companies such as Sony, Mozilla, Oracle, HP, and EA in the past. DeWitt is a well-known figure in the online and Apple and photography communities. Apple's design team has been undergoing many changes in the last year with the company's former software design chief Alan Dye and the Apple hardware engineering lead candidate John Termes has had to oversee the company's entire hardware and software design teams. And so we know all the great stuff. In related news, Halide's parent company Lux today launched a public preview of Halide Mark III, the next generation version of its camera app. It is a pretty incredible app here. So what do you guys think?
Yeah.
What do you think, Marty?
Yeah.
This is phenomenally good news. Really good. This is the best news since Alan Dye left to go help Meta. Really good.
I'm not much of a photographer, but the photographers turned me on to this app, Halide, a long time ago. And I think Apple has been chasing that quality of a photography app and haven't ever quite caught up with their own camera app that they have. So I think it's a brilliant move. I also say kind of tongue in cheek, well, they hired him, which means he can't sue them for copyright infringement, which we've seen happen just this week. So with another company. So it's a protective it could be a protective measure. Who knows what Apple's going to come up with at that point. But I think it's great.
Well, and he knows how to make a good design, test it, make sure it works, make sure it makes sense. And that has been missing for a while.
Yep.
He will add a lot of depth to the design teams.
Yep. Anybody else?
Yeah.
I'm just a big fan in general of people being hired out of the community. I just think it brings a brand new taste to it. They have a successful app, so there's something to it. That app is fantastic, and it's good to see that talent acquired.
Lita says you're correct. So
I'll take that blessing.
Anyway, that's time to wrap things up here. That was a great show. We had a lot of great things to talk about this week. Shout out to we were streaming on Facebook, and we were also streaming on LinkedIn, and we were also streaming on Twitch this week to try it out, and it didn't crash, and it worked really well. So we had the number of audiences this week, and most of our interactions in YouTube. So it was great to have everybody in the chat, and so much fun to have people in the chat room this week. So let's go ahead and just to see where people can be found. I'm going to reverse the order here, and Mr. Chuck Joyner, where can people find you?
You can find me over at macvoices.com. As I alluded to, I'm in the midst of editing and releasing a lot of the interviews Norbert and I shot at CES. And so there's something for everyone there. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. If you don't like this one, wait for the next one. It's coming up soon. Tuesday nights, youtube.com/MacVoicesTV is our live show with a whole lot of the people here that show up and pick on me incessantly. And on all the socials, you can find me as at Chuck Joyner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Eric Bolden, so glad to have you here this week. Where can people find you?
I can be found on Mastodon at eabolden@mas.to, on Vision Profiles on Mondays, covering visionOS in depth. Sorry, 3D humor.
Oh my gosh!
That was deep.
Thank you. You had to reach for that.
Excuse me, I have to
Thanks,
pick up
John.
my jaw. It's on the floor right now.
All right. Mac Voices on Tuesdays, covering Mac OS and news and miscellaneous helpful warnings. And Thursdays, In Touch with iOS, kind of rounding out the week. And it's a good progress through all of the OSs.
Quite the progress. Thanks for being here. Jeff Gamet, thank you as always for being here. Where can people find you?
Well, when I'm not here hanging out with you and Chuck Butterbutt Joyner, you can find me on the social medias as Jay Gamet, mostly on Mastodon and PixelFed and Blue Sky. Then, I'm sorry, just the Butterbutt thing. I was keeping a straight face, but finally it just got to me, and I crack me up sometimes. Anyhow, Chuck, I really appreciate that you're so tolerant. Or that you were.
You can't see the expression on his face, can you?
No, I can. It was a great friendship while it lasted. Anyhow, for shows, well, apparently up until now, you can find me on Chuck's Mac Voices Live. But you can still, I presume, find me here on Dave's In Touch with iOS. Then also for the British Tech Network on The Big Show and The Mac Show. Brand Chaffin and I, we do The Context Machine, and Patrice Brendamore and I, we do Retro Rewatch.
There's the plug for Retro Rewatch. Right there. There you go.
Oh, everything tastes better in a Retro Rewatch mug.
All right, thank you so much, Jeff. Marty Jencius, thank you for being here, and always a pleasure having you and your wisdom with us on the show. Where can people find you?
It is just so much fun to be here with the group. You can find me at Jencius, Jencius, both at Blue Sky and also at mastodon.social. Monday nights with Dave and Eric and occasional Daniel on Vision Profiles. We live stream at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can join us that way or find us obviously on YouTube at another time and space or on your podcatcher service. Tuesdays with Chuck on Mac Voices, a great time with that group. Thursdays here on In Touch with iOS, and then I've got a bunch of new projects. Well, I've got a bunch of podcasts that you can find at thepodtalk.net. Latest one, I'm going to be tapping people on the shoulder to join, and they've already indicated that they have recipes. It's called 15-Minute Bites, and so some of your favorite podcast folks we'll be talking a little bit about their work and sharing a favorite recipe, all within 15 minutes. So it'll be a nice, little short-form podcast or videocast for you to look at.
Excellent. Last but certainly not least, Jill McKinley. Great to have you. Where can people find you?
Thank you so much. And I did want to put in a plug for Chuck's CES stuff. It's amazing, and I always love watching Chuck's interviews. I can be found at jillfromthenorthwoods.com, and I have email, I have podcast, YouTube channel, and you can find me on Twitter.
Excellent. In fact, Gladys just said that you got you and Allison. That's a good pair there, Chuck. That they were you got a call out from Mac OS again. So nothing wrong with that.
We got a call out. I'm gonna sort of call back. It was because we sent notes to Ken for his 20th year anniversary.
Amazing.
So he earlier this week he turned 20 years. So shout out to Ken.
Ray.
I've been listening to Ken before he started Mac OS Ken, and he is an inspiration. He has a consistently intelligent, well thought out voice. I don't always agree with him, and that's what I love about it, because he makes me think.
But thanks everybody in the chat here, and then let me go ahead and wrap up for this week. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. Send us email. I'm lonely. I want to get some of your emails, so your feedback, what's going on in the show. We'd really appreciate it. You can follow us on Blue Sky and Mastodon at InTouchWithIOS. Support the show. Buy me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We'd really appreciate it. You can become a Patreon of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We'd really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you are notified when we're live streaming on YouTube, which is 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. The YouTube channel is youtube.com/intouchwithios, where you can watch the current and past live streams, as well as listen to past shows. You can subscribe to the show in your favorite podcatcher, including Pocket Casts, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, and many others. But better yet, just go to our website, intouchwithios.com. All the links are there to find us and listen to us. I am Dave Ginsburg. You can find me on Blue Sky and Mastodon at DaveG65. I'm also on Vision Profiles podcast on Monday nights with Marty and Eric. Tuesday nights on Mac Voices Live with Chuck and the gang here. And Thursdays here, of course, recording this show. And then the Mac Show on the British Tech Network on Fridays. So with that, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We really had a great show, and we'll talk again soon.